Welcome to Lights, Camera, Action. Boost your B2B brand with LinkedIn video. I'm Elaine Theos, Director of Product Marketing at LinkedIn, and I'm thrilled to be your host today. Video is no longer just a trend. It's reshaping the way we consume content and transforming the landscape of B2B marketing. According to recent research from Forrester, 71% of B2B buyers are now millennials or Gen Z. These generations grew up immersed in video content, which has become their preferred way to consume information. Additionally, just this past May, streaming officially surpassed traditional television for the first time ever. Simply put, today's buyers are younger, video-focused, and consuming more streaming content than ever before. The question is, how will you reach them? To help you get started, we've just launched our brand new video ebook packed with strategies and tips to help B2B brands succeed with video. Be sure to download it after the stream. You won't want to miss it. Today, we're diving deep into how B2B brands can harness the power of video to drive real business results. I'm joined by 3 marketing leaders who are pioneering video strategies in their organizations. Ladies, can you please introduce yourself, talk a little about your role at your company, and tell me, what was your first job? Lauren, how about you go first?
Hi, Lane. Nice to see you again. Thank you so much for having me today. My name is Lauren Firebaugh. I'm a Senior Director at Salesforce over Customer Market Insights. And what that means is my team and I look after brand insights at the highest altitude, the Salesforce level. That includes everything from brand health tracking, competitive marketing, social listening, message testing, creative testing, ad tracking. We also do media evaluations for some of our marquee sports sponsorships to calculate the ROI, and all types of media measurements to understand the efficacy of what we're doing in the media and how that's translating into results for the organization. My first job was at Sunset Pizza in San Francisco. I picked up a telephone and took orders over the phone with a handwritten pencil and handed it to the chefs.
Nice. Amanda, how about you?
Great to be here today. My name's Amanda Federley. I'm Director of Design at Adobe for our fabulous original content team that stands behind all of the content in Adobe Express. My first job, I was a paper girl in Northern Canada, so I guess I was always in media and content distribution. But yeah, the team is video obsessed, so we've created all of the templates that have incredible video best practices within them, as well as all of the one-tap animations that you can access in Express, so you don't have to feel intimidated with fussy editing or timelines. We wanted to make it really simple for everyone to create standout video.
Nicole.
Yeah, thanks for having me here today. So my name's Nicole Jones. I'm the Chief Media Commercial Lead at Kantar. So my team is really providing research to agencies, advertisers, and publishers. And I feel like I missed the opportunity of having a fun job before I went straight into the corporate world. So I work for a temp agency at a large pharmaceutical company because that was the only way you could get employed there. And so my job was to go and get people, have them fill out paperwork, sign them up in terms of computer tests. So how many words could they type? How was their spelling? And then I also got to check timesheets. So really exciting corporate world right off from the bat.
Nice. As for me, my first job was as a lifeguard at a summer camp for kids up in the mountains. So not so tied in, but fun. All right, to kick things off, we're going to talk about why video is a game changer for B2B. Lauren, from your perspective at Salesforce, how big a part of your strategy is video, and how is it performing compared to other formats?
So video is one component. We have a very broad media mix. It's one component, but it's a very important component. To set kind of context and back up a step, I think for Salesforce, what's most important is on-target reach, right? We are really looking to reach business decision makers and influencers over software applications and business apps used by their companies. That is who we want to reach. And I've been at Salesforce for 10 years, and I say this lovingly, but when my mom sees a Salesforce ad as a retired teacher, that's really, really fun, but that's not the best use of our media dollars. We really want that on-target reach. So video, again, an important piece, is where we've been spending a lot more time and energy lately, particularly because of a relationship that exists between iSpot, which we use for linear measurement, and LinkedIn. We were able to use iSpot's measurement with LinkedIn audiences so that we are identifying who are those business decision makers in sales, service, marketing, IT, how often were we reaching them, whether we were reaching them on linear, a CTV offering on its own, or LinkedIn CTV. And in looking across that, by doing some testing and experimenting, we really saw some incredible results in the LinkedIn CTV space, which I think we're going to share with the audience in a little bit.
Yeah, I was going to say, we'll talk a little bit more about that later. Thanks. Amanda, you work closely with Adobe Express and see how brands are creating content on a day-to-day basis. Can you discuss the evolution you're seeing from static image into video?
Absolutely. It's like you said at the beginning, it's really the rise of video content is so predominant on immersive platforms, and we've really seen a gravity towards that. It's not that static text and images still don't have their place, but video is just such an evocative and resonant storytelling format, and so it really touches on human emotion right away. It's instantly communicating that, especially when you start to play it in sound-on environment. And so what we really talk about a lot on Express is video that is thumb-stopping content. Like, how do you really grab attention within the feed where there's a lot of other noise sort of competing for attention? And video just tends to be the most effective format to do that, to really hook your audience in.
I like that notion of thumb-stopping content. That's a good one to remember. Nicole, there's a common misconception that video is only for top-of-funnel brand awareness. From your measurement perspective, is this true? Why or why not?
Yeah, so I think there's always misconceptions kind of floating around, especially when something's relatively new, because people may not be using it all the time. And I think that's something that's really important to keep in mind. And when we look at LinkedIn, the audience is more receptive, they're more aware of B2B brands, and their ads are more memorable. However, I'm happy to report that we're debunking it's just for top of funnel. No, absolutely not. It is for the full funnel. And that's because you can persuade decision makers. You just really need to make sure that you're very clear in your intent. So if that's what you're trying to do, make sure that that is laid out very clearly within your ad itself.
Yeah, that makes lots of sense. The importance of having a clear strategy from the get-go to set yourself up for success as well. Amanda, what are the key components of an engaging video campaign from a creative development standpoint?
Great question. So I think we're getting back to that notion of reach and resonance. The three most important points when thinking about starting to develop video strategy or just create video is the first one is storytelling. So what's the story? How are you going to tell it? Why does it matter for your audience? I really encourage storyboarding as the first practice for video creation. That can be done static or in an online tool, but just lay out your story, really understand your narrative. Video needs a beginning, middle, and an end, most effectively. And then the second big principle is around simplicity. So making sure that your text, your images are really clear, you get to your point really quickly, you can kind of hook that attention right away. And the third point I would say is around cohesion and consistency. So making sure that when you start a video strategy, you stick with it, you engage your audience regularly. That's really what's going to extend your reach and ensure that you're not just trying one thing one-off, but it becomes a more sustainable part of your strategy.
Excellent, thank you. Those are great tips for building really engaging video. Lauren, once you have compelling creative, how do you ensure you're finding and engaging your target audience effectively?
Well, I think it's all about really it's the who are you reaching? It's the right person, and for us, that's the B2B decision maker with influence over decision making of software applications and technology used by their business at the right time. And contrary to public opinion, that's before they're in the buying mindset or before they're in the market. You want them to have top of mind awareness of who you are and what you offer before they're buying, because all of the evidence and all the research shows that now once you are in a buying mode, once you're moving into the buying cycle, the consideration set is down to about 2.4 brands. So if you're not in that consideration set before you're going into that buying mindset, you're not going to be on the list. And then at the right time when they're buying. So right person, right place, right time. So those are three principles you have to have. Next, I really need to make sure that my creative is branded effectively. If it is not branded as an ad coming from Salesforce, then we're really advertising for the category, not for Salesforce itself. You want to have strong breakthrough, which means you got to have something that grabs attention, that is going to be one of those thumb-stopping moments to get people to pay attention. And then you want your advertising to have a good recall. So really those are some of the complexities of the principles that you need to keep in mind. Ultimately, whether you're advertising for the brand or the product or a capability, you want to have unified messaging. You want it to be tied together in kind of a unified format, but then also personalized for the person's or the audience's industry or the audience's department, marketing, sales, service. And then you need to make it scalable. So there's a lot of different principles that you have to keep in mind, but that goes into the overall strategy of what we're trying to do.
Yeah, lots of good building blocks in there to think about how you put all the pieces together. Nicole, this brings us to measurement, arguably one of the most important aspects. How do you measure the impact of video campaigns, and what should brands establish from the start?
Yeah, absolutely. So I may be a bit biased having been in market research for 20 years, but I would say measurement is so key to everything. If you don't have it, then you won't understand that true impact of that campaign itself. And I'd say there's two things to keep in mind. One is to measure everything. That may be my job. However, it is really to measure everything, because you not just want to measure those mediocre campaigns, you want to measure even the ones that are doing well, because there may be actual impact in those that you can make even better next time. So I would say that's the first thing, is really make sure that you're measuring everything. And then the second thing, which we had touched on a little bit earlier, is make sure everything is clear. So you want to make sure that that job to be done is very clear so that you have that goal. And then also, above all, you can be meaningful, different, and salient, because that is truly going to make an impact.
Let's shift gears a little and look at some real-world success stories. I want to share some of the impressive results we've seen from brands leveraging LinkedIn's video capabilities, including from some of those in this room. Let's roll the first clip.
Yeah, still holding. If my AC company had Agentforce, the powerful AI from Salesforce, an AI agent would have flagged the issue and automatically helped me find someone to service it. What?
Wow, you are moist.
Well, how'd you get an appointment?
Dude just magically showed up. Agentforce, sir.
Huh?
Oh. Sorry, dude, cold air's getting out.
Agentforce helps manufacturers prevent appliance defiance. It's what AI was meant to be.
That's a super fun spot. Lauren, can you walk us through Salesforce's Connected TV campaign? What made this campaign particularly successful?
This goes back to the partnership I was discussing with you earlier between LinkedIn CTV and iSpot, where we were able to overlay the audiences that we care most about to understand where our on-target reach was and what the discrepancies were between linear CTV and LinkedIn CTV. So through LinkedIn CTV, we were able to reach new audiences, 70% incremental reach. So these were people who had not been touched on linear TV and they had not been touched on other CTV offerings. Those were new audiences, allowing kind of deeper penetration into that on-target audience that we care so much about. We found that our impressions on LinkedIn CTV were 4x that of linear TV. And additionally, because of kind of cost efficiencies and in being so on target, it was 11 times more cost effective for us to purchase through LinkedIn CTV than it was for a different CTV platform or for linear, which those are really game-changing results. And that was a very fun success story for us to talk about within the marketing department.
I bet. Those are some really powerful stats. Amanda, from Adobe's perspective, how has integrating video creation tools with LinkedIn simplified the creative development process for your customers?
Great question. So I think the first aspect of the integration is that it really helps any marketer creative team be platform performant. So now with the Express add-on that includes publishing to LinkedIn, you can completely access our library of rich video templates for LinkedIn. They adhere to all of LinkedIn's ad platforms and specs. So it really takes the guesswork out of making creative. And you also get real-time feedback in that creative process if you're going to make a choice in the project that is going to pull you out of that platform performant perspective. And so now all of a sudden you have high ROI creative that's going to meet the platform's needs. The second big thing is really being able to easily work with your team in one place. So going back to brand cohesion, you can easily add and edit all of your storylines in one place. You can share them with your team. You can collaborate. Managing your brand in terms of visual cohesion has never been easier. You have all of your logos, your colors, your fonts, access to Adobe Stock right in one place. And that kind of brings me to my third point, which is it makes that notion of the Adobe ecosystem really come to life within Express. So you can actually import your Photoshop documents, your Illustrator documents. And so if you have any creative in other parts of the Adobe ecosystem, managing that creative and moving it into video in Express has never been easier. And then from there, you can schedule and publish to post, which means we're really helping creative teams also, in some cases, get out of the need for big production, big budget video, and be able to, experiment with the format a lot more easily and quickly right on the platform that they want to target to.
That's awesome. Lots of really powerful tools there.
Yeah.
That's a perfect segue to see a real example of your work in action. Let's roll that clip.
Growing up British Ghanaian, I wanted to create a brand that supports the African farmers who supply the beauty industry. So I started Yendi Skin. With Adobe Express, it's easy to create everything I need to share my brand, my content, and my culture with the world. But the best part is creating a platform to share how African farmers make it all possible.
Nicole, you have worked on numerous brand lift studies. Let's take a look at one in particular. Let's roll the clip.
Good news, we got time with the CEO. It's in 40 minutes, at the office.
Co-pilot, based on this rollout plan, what questions should we expect?
At 9:23, you were ready to work from home.
Let's condense the rollout plan into a 3-minute talk track.
At 9:40, you were ready for almost anything.
That's fun. A little anxiety-inducing, but
Yes.
fun. Nicole, can you share how video measurement helped Microsoft optimize their strategy?
Yeah, absolutely. So this campaign, it did really well. This is just one ad of many that were part of the campaign, but we thought that this really shows best-in-class advertising. So this overall, from a campaign perspective, it was able to impact salience by 3 times and brand favorability by almost 1.5 times compared to Kantar's B2B norms. And I think one of the things that's really important to keep in mind is that salience actually helps reinforce that brand equity.
Okay, we've been talking a lot about video and what makes a good campaign. Do any of you have campaigns you've seen in the wild that you think were particularly impactful or fun?
I can dive in. This year at Sundance, which is, of course, the gathering of all the video experts and creators and producers and executive directors, Adobe did this amazing spot, and it was a vertical spot, and the whole spot sort of took you through the journey of what it means to be a video creator. And it just had so much emotional resonance and humor in it. Like there was at one point in the ad, I think it was like a naming strategy for files, and it's like file 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, which is like, it's just like something that creatives, anyone working, with a lot of media just really truly know, because when you get into the mix of creating things, it's just such a big chaotic feeling until you get to that final result. And so I think they did a really great job just touching into the emotional tenet of what it means to be a video creator and really speaking to that audience ahead of Sundance.
I'm happy to go next, and I'm going to cheat and use a B2C brand instead. Everything right now that was old is new again, right? Sambas are the hottest shoe on the market, and they've been out forever and ever and ever. The ad I'm thinking of particularly is a Gatorade ad. Decades, I'm going to say decades ago, maybe just a decade, Gatorade, you'd see athletes, very prominent athletes, and they were sweating, but they were sweating Gatorade colors. And then, Caitlin Clark is really making such a name for herself and all of the WNBA, but now she's in that kind of classic Gatorade ad. So it both pulls on some nostalgia, some like, oh, I remember that from back in the day, but it's new and fresh again with new athletes. So that's one that I just love that ad.
That's super fun. I haven't seen that one. Okay, we're gonna shift gears a little bit again into some quick fire tips. So we're gonna rapid fire this next section because we wanna make sure everybody watching comes away with some tips that they can really take into action in their own lives. So I'd like each of you to share your number 1 tip for brands launching their first video campaign on LinkedIn. Amanda, what's your key piece of advice?
My key piece of advice is to both gather a lot of footage, whether it's shooting behind the scenes, be experiments with storytelling, and don't chase trends. And I think that there's a shift in that, which is stay core to the authentic message of your brand and really hone your video strategy around that. And then potentially later, if you want to add on or adopt trends or look at trends as a way to cascade information virality, that's cool, but the best thing is probably to start with your roots and play with the resonance of your brand and how you bring this new video format to your brand.
Love that. And one of the extra nice things about that is the advice not to chase trends doubles as good life advice.
Totally.
Yes.
And bangs.
Nicole, what is your essential recommendation?
Yeah, so Kantar, we just put out our annual media reaction survey, and what we found in that is that video advertising is actually the second most preferred channel for marketers. So I would say absolutely go ahead and do video advertising campaigns. But just don't try to cram everything into one ad because it's just going to be too much. So make sure that you're really sort of planning for purpose because that's where it's going to be the most impactful. And just don't remember, it doesn't need to be perfect to have an impact. So go out there and definitely experiment.
Yeah, that's great advice. We talk a lot about how something doesn't have to be perfect to be impactful. So love to hear that in there. Lauren, how about your top tip?
I'm going to keep it really simple. Figure out what you're trying to convey in your message. Make sure your message conveys that, and ultimately measure it. Measure it so you can figure out how to optimize moving forward, because you can't get better unless you know what you're doing.
Yeah, it's really solid advice. All right, well, thank you so much. This has been an incredibly insightful conversation. Thank you, Lauren, Amanda, and Nicole, for sharing your expertise and real-world experiences with video marketing on LinkedIn. What we heard today are 3 examples of video driving real engagement and performance against business outcomes. Whether you're looking to drive brand awareness, engage decision makers, or generate qualified leads, the takeaway is clear. Video is no longer optional in B2B marketing. It's essential. Don't forget to download a B2B Marketer's Guide, How to Build Your Brand with Video on LinkedIn, which expands on everything we've discussed today with additional strategies, case studies, and partner solutions. Thank you so much for joining us today. Until next time, keep creating compelling videos that drive results. Thanks again.